Well, hello and welcome to the show. I'm Ferguson, your host. And here on Lynn Spins today, I'm going to discuss myself, as we can tell by the topic. I am the news. I make the news, I report the news, I am the news. But, I don't even know where to begin. So I guess I'll start with the fact that my stepdad, how can I word this? So my stepdad is a U.S. representative in Congress, Missouri, and his name is Michael Person. He, like a people, Michael Person, and he's representative of a district of Ferguson, Ward, 74th Ward, and my mother's an executive working for the county. Her name is Theta Person. She's the mother of Christian Ferguson, a little boy who went missing June 11, 2003 in St. Louis, a very prominent story in the area. Actually, my sperm donor, who I share with my brother, Christian, he's my older brother, Dewan is being tried right now for the charges for murder of his son. And he's being charged with the disappearance as well. And along with many other things, a laundry list of ridiculous deeds. But here we are, supposed to be enjoying this year where we finally get to start the trial after 2 years of him being in jail, 3 years since 2019, finally getting some kind of justice 20 years later. But my mother is unfortunately going through a divorce with my stepfather that started toward the end of last year, around the holidays, when everyone's supposed to be merry. And I didn't have to Merry Christmas either, for other reasons. I was kicked out of my home. I had to leave before an eviction proceeding took place that would have been on my record. And I don't have time for any of those kinds of games as a Black woman in St. Louis and in America. But, and especially, with everything that's going on with the pandemic and the housing situation and crisis and, what have you. But so I left before they could start those proceedings and actually evict me. I left it with the eviction notice and within that time frame, which had me leaving at Christmas. Yes, Christmas time, I was forced to leave my apartment. Excuse me. A travesty. A travesty. A travesty indeed. But because Christmas is my favorite holiday. So I've been, searching for new placement, but that has been impeded by me quitting my job after, for personal reasons. I don't really want to make this podcast just about my entire life, although it kind of has to be to some degree. So that is actually as well why I don't want to include the unnecessary details. But, personal reasons, I quit my job, safety reasons, among many other things, but that was the main concern. And it also was in an industry that I do not care for working within. I am not a service worker in that capacity. I do data entry, customer service, administrative, executive, type duties. I don't clean. I don't cook. I don't clean. Let me tell you, I ain't got a ring. No, but thank you, Cardi B. And Mac, baby. Oh. But so basically I wound up staying with my mother. She allowed me to move back into the manor where I used to rent from them. And it's in Ferguson on 10 acres. So it's a pretty big house. While they're going through the divorce proceedings, he is on the side of the house where I used to rent from them, which is much more dilapidated and broken down because he doesn't take care of his property. And my mother and I were on the nicer side of the house, the bigger side of the house, the main part of the house. And he kept coming over, instigating drama, taking my clothes out of the washer and dryer, letting them mildew in baskets that he'd separate them into randomly. He'd mix them with other things. And then he put his a third of a load in the washer, then proceeded to put them in the dryer. 9 hours later, when I was figuring he was done with his laundry after I'd worked my shift, and, I worked from home, and my mother was gone for most of those 9 hours. And he came back and proceeded to do the same thing. Took his clothes that I took out the dryer that were completely dry. They were so hot. They were so dry, And, excuse me, he proceeded to take my clothes back out and even take clothes out of the washer that, and separate them and put them in baskets to mildew and then leave some in the washer for some reason. It was just weird. And, he put his clothes, his below 1/3 of a load, back into the dryer. And by the time I came down there and stopped it, within 10 minutes of him doing this, maybe 5, the load was so hot. I had to just leave the door open and leave him alone for, a minute, because I just was like, it smelled like it was going to explode, the dryer, So I told my mom about the situation. She confronted him about why he was, basically, doing extra and doing the most and impeding me while I am, impeding me doing my laundry. And she, asked him very valid questions, like why he's over here, instigating drama. In the first place, when he has a washer and dryer on his side of the house, fully functioning, that I used to use when I lived over there. And he's, explains that washer and dryer is strictly for, his daughter, my stepsister. And apparently she gets to use her own washer and dryer when she's over there. But when I was renting, I had to deal with him using the washer and dryer on a regular basis. And it was because he could, And he proceeded to, play coy and play, facetious type, and my mother just kept questioning him. And then he started acting, crazy, saying crazy things, like making weird accusations of her, like, she had a swollen face several weeks prior, and this is not true, by the way. She disputes this completely, but he was alleging to her in front of me to us basically, that she had a swollen face, and at one point it was around some, he just basically tried to make this whole story up about her coming into the kitchen one day and having a swollen face. And he assumed she got into a fight, and he put that out there before he even said anything about the swollen face. He claimed that she got into a fight with someone. And it was just a really weird accusation to put out there with no evidence and when she's disputing that this even happened. So, then he tries to pull me into it, and he says, "Lynn, didn't you say you knew what happened?" And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? So at this point, she's recording him because he's clearly off the wall at this point. And, then he gives me permission to stay there, basically. He basically is admitting to instigating stuff with me because he was upset because she just let her kid move up in here again, but while they're going through this divorce, I guess, now. So it's just like, it was a weird situation. And, of course, we already assumed that was what some of this was based in, but it was, of course, a regular occurrence every day anyway. because she kept having to deal with this before I got there that day. So he proceeds to take out his phone and call the police. He called Ferguson PD and said, "Yes, Ferguson PD, or yes, police. No, I think he said the former. Yes, I am being attacked by my wife and her child in my home." And we, of course, are in the background like, what are you talking about? You're going to sit here and lie? You're going to lie. And we have you on video. It's all over my social media, And the video is posted on my Instagram, it's posted on my mom's pages, it's posted on my Facebook. It's ridiculous. And so the police come, long story short. They see the evidence that we did nothing. They don't take anybody into custody. And they leave. And then this was at like 9:30 at night that he called the police. They came within an hour. So we gave our statements. I gave a counter statement to the sergeant because I was like, look, I'm not going to sit here she had me give it to another officer, but I'm not going to sit here, I'm just sitting here like, I'm not going to sit here and let this man file a false police report claiming we attacked him in his home. And then he came over and literally was within 2 feet of me. And it's like, if you really feared that I was going to do something to you, especially based upon some false notion that I did something to you before, you would not get within 2 feet of me. You would not get as close as within 2 feet of me to pick up his clothes off at the table, because my mother had put them outside on the table since he was talking to the police. And it was just crazy. It was just like, what are you doing? Like, he quivered, shivered, shook, all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, this is my mother and myself. What are you talking about? I've never had assault charges in my life. I've never assaulted someone in my life. I've defended myself when I was, in kindergarten and shit. Yes, I had to do that in kindergarten. I had 3 bullies in my class. But I have never had to, and then I was jumped on the bus when I was in 7th grade, but that was the last physical altercation I ever had in my entire life. Don't come looking. You know what I'm saying? But, it was horrible. And to know that he's a U.S. representative in Missouri Congress. What are you doing? You're going to use your power as a public official and your word as a public official and speak fallacies and speak falsehoods, if that's even a word, because I'm hearing people use it all the time. I never heard of that. I'm used to fallacies, but it can be a little different. But it's just crazy. It's just like, what? But he took it a step further. When the police left around 10, 11 at night, he came back with a brigade of police officers hours later at 2:40 in the morning. It's like 2:43 when they were knocking on the door. My mother answered the door and was served with some fraudulent-looking order of protection that banned her from the premises. And I left, of course, with her. And we left, and the whole Ferguson brigade escorted us off the property. That's in her name. The deed is in her name, in Ferguson. So it's just crazy. So we're in hotels, you know what I'm saying? And I'm about to move to California, so I'm that's why I'm in a hotel, along with the fact that what I described earlier. But speaking to the fraudulence of this order, so several days later, this happened, the 13th and the 12th of this weekend. We were served the 13th by the Ferguson police with this order that was dated for the 13th at 2:40 in the morning. So the order of protection has no signature. Where the judge's signature should be, it reads a printed name of Judge Hilton. It's in print.